Looks like we're live, but I can't see my video playback. Oh, here we go. Okay, I think we're live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my online diary. I hope you can hear. I put this mic in a different spot. New mic. There's a person here. Let me know if you can hear me and hear the piano and stuff. I hope you're having a great day. It's Monday. It's August 17th. The summer is starting to get in the winding down phase. I can't believe summer of 2020 is almost at its end. I want to start this episode by playing a song I wrote back in February, and then I want to talk about some stuff. This is called Don't Believe the Boogeyman. Broken people from broken homes, tethered to the apps on their smartphones. What could be the reason for this? Lost souls that hate their mom and dad, that wish that they weren't born and think everything is bad. What could be the reason for this? Is this the way it was meant to be? Or is this the result of a broken society? Don't believe the boogeyman. You know the one, you see him on your screen. He fills your head with lies and propagates your mind with scenes from a bad dream. Don't believe the boogeyman. Once you try, you will see that he's insane and a drain on your happiness, and then you won't miss the demons inside of your brain. The beast, he feeds off of pain and fear and doubt, and your cries of despair, and your hopeless screams and shouts. Oh, the crazy things this monster wants you to believe. We're 12 years away from the end of days. Oh, and by the way, it's all your fault, they say. All he knows is to deceive. But there's a way out. Let me tell ya. Don't believe the lies that comprise the false narrative that they put in front of your eyes. Don't believe the boogeyman. You know the one, you see him on your screen. He fills your head with lies and propagates your mind with scenes from a bad dream. Don't believe the boogeyman. Once you try, you will see that he's insane and a drain on your happiness, and then you won't miss the demons inside of your brain. All they want is for you to take a knee and to compromise your morality. All they want is for you to take a knee and to compromise your morality. All they want is for you to take a knee and to compromise your morality. Yeah! Don't believe the boogeyman. You know the one, you see him on your screen. He fills your head with lies and propagates your mind with scenes from a bad dream. Don't believe the boogeyman. Once you try, you will see that he's insane and a drain on your happiness, and then you won't miss. Don't believe the boogeyman. You know the one, you see him on your screen. He fills your head with lies and propagates your mind with scenes from a bad dream. Don't believe the boogeyman. Once you try, you will see that he's insane and a drain on your happiness, and then you won't miss the demons inside of your brain. Alright, so that's Don't Believe the Boogeyman. I wrote that back in February, and it kind of spilled out all in one go, which was really cool. That was a great day. I wrote 2 songs in one day, one of which was the song My Girlfriend in Dubai, which has been a popular song we've been doing on my porch shows. Okay, cool. So it's Monday. This is the 4th one of these I've done. I did 3 last week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and now I'm doing it again this Monday. And it's still really scary to do this. It's feels very intense putting my heart on my sleeve like this, but I'm following what this book says to come up with a plan and try and follow your plan until and the plan will reveal itself to you more and more as you do it more and more. So I think part of my plan to try and get my ultimate desire out of life includes doing a live journal, basically, or a live diary. And yeah, so a couple things I want to talk about. First thing I want to talk about is I had a friend at the porch show last night tell me she watched one of my episodes. I think she watched my episode 3 on Friday. And it was cool, you know. She told me, I'm going to try to not out who she is. I love her. She's awesome. She's one of my favorite people that comes to the shows. Definitely consider her a friend, and I'm really glad we talked last night. But it was really interesting because she told me she really disagreed with me on my mask stance, and she had a lot of things to say that I thought were pretty compelling, and it was a good conversation to have. I didn't push back on anything she said, even though I disagree with her, but she disagrees with me, and I think there was kind of like a mutual understanding there. She said she's got a strong faith in God, and she feels like God put the scientists on Earth to tell us what we're supposed to do in this situation. Sorry for paraphrasing. I know that's not exactly what you said, but that's kind of the gist of what I remember. And it's funny, she thinks God is telling her to wear the mask, and I think God is telling me not to wear the mask. And, who's right, who's wrong? Are we both right? Are we both wrong? It's like impossible to really tell, I think. And I think that's where the God's plan and the picture of the whole thing, where it's impossible for us to zoom out all the way and see it outside of time because we're limited by our perspective. But she told me she had some friends pass away in this time from the COVID-19, and yeah, I was just thinking about that. It's like if I knew somebody who died and they said it was from this, and I believed the CDC and the World Health Organization, I would be singing a different tune. I didn't tell her this, but I was thinking about this more the other day. I know somebody who killed himself like a month or two ago. And this guy, he was always in a lot of trouble. He always was really down. He drank a lot. He didn't have a lot going for him, and he was pretty hopeless a lot of the time. But I feel like everything shutting down was a catalyst to push him over the edge. So it's interesting, but I know she was coming from a place of honesty, and she's coming from a place of trying to make everything as good as it can be, and that's where I'm coming from too. And I think it was really cool. We had a conversation based off this thing I'm doing here, and one thing I've really thought about is if I were just taking these thoughts and putting them into Facebook statuses, it would just be noise. It wouldn't mean anything. I think we all know people on Facebook that we agree with and that we disagree with that just post, make Facebook their online diary, and it just is noise, and it just divides people and stuff. And I don't want this diary or journal live stream to be something that divides people. I want it to bring people together. And it was really sweet of her to talk to me about that. I think she could tell I was being earnest and sincere, and she earnestly and sincerely spoke to me about where she's coming from too. And she thinks that the CDC says 150,000 people have died, and she thinks it's probably more than that, and I think it's probably less than that. And we could both pull up studies that say, I could pull up 100 studies that say I'm right. She could pull up 100 studies that say she's right, and she could go through all the studies I've looked at and pinpoint the flaws in them. And I could go, I don't know if I actually could, but somebody who is apt at this could go through all those studies and pinpoint the flaws in them. And so it's kind of like a facts versus facts impasse there. But I still consider her a friend, and I think she still considers me a friend, and she's going to keep coming to the shows, and I'm going to keep being nice to her. And I don't know, it's just interesting. I've done 3 of these episodes now, and already someone in real life has talked to me about it, and it's just interesting. When you do stuff to make some waves, people are going to respond to the waves you make, and that's kind of that. So yeah, I wanted to talk about her a little bit and talk about that. And then let's see, I called this the Ghosts of Fear. So this is kind of in relation to that. In this Think and Grow Rich book, he's got a chapter called How to Outwit the 6 Ghosts of Fear. And he lists the 6 ghosts of fear in the beginning of the chapter as the fear of poverty, the fear of criticism, and the fear of ill health. He marks those down as the three most significant ones. And then the other three are the fear of loss of love of someone, the fear of old age, and the fear of death. So it's interesting because he talks about, so the fear of poverty is the one he lists first. And this book was published in 1937, and he talks about how the whole world was gripped by a fear of poverty with the Great Depression and with the stock market crash, and how this fear captured the whole of the U.S. or the whole of the world and really paralyzed a lot of people. And I just think the parallels of the fear of ill health capturing the whole world this past March for these past 6 months is so apparent. So I'm going to turn to where he says the fear of ill health, and he says some really interesting things here. In the main, man fears ill health because of the terrible pictures which have been planted in his mind of what may happen if death should overtake him. He also fears it because of the economic toll which it may claim. A reputable physician estimated that 75% of all people who visit physicians for professional service are suffering with hypochondria, imaginary illness. It has been shown most convincingly that the fear of disease, even where there is not the slightest cause for fear, often produces the physical symptom of the disease feared. Powerful and mighty is the human mind. It builds or it destroys. And that to me right there, that's just one little snippet from this section. And that last sentence right there, powerful and mighty is the human mind. It builds or it destroys. And I believe in the notion of humans being made in the image of God. The way that I picture it that makes sense is that God is an infinite mind, and our minds are a temporal, finite recreation of that. And God is all powerful, and we're made in the image of God, so our minds have an immense amount of power to create the reality around us, to shape our world. And when I walk down the street and people walk past me and they scowl when they see me and they put their mask on real quick, or people bury their faces in shame, they refuse to look at each other, I just see people thinking a world into existence where you're supposed to be afraid of the people around you. Now, my friend who I was talking to last night, she wears her mask, but she's still such a light. Before she even told me she was a Christian, I could tell. I hadn't, I guess, actually made the thought, but if you would have asked me, I would have guessed she was. And she still lets her light shine through, but a lot of people, you can tell, have been wearing these masks for a while. They probably believed for a while that there's overpopulation and humans are like a cancer on the planet and there's too many people. And it's manifested itself in this way where these people, I think, are just like manifesting this thing in their mind where when it's like, oh, gotta go outside, everyone might be sick, so I gotta protect myself, I gotta protect everyone, protect myself. I could be sick, they could be sick. Like, it's not good for us to interact. And I just think that sentence right there, powerful and mighty is the human mind. It builds or it destroys. And I just can't help but think that people are creating their own reality where everyone around them is sick. And I'm choosing to believe in a world where I trust people and people are healthy and human interaction is good. There's this homeless guy named Mitchell who sits down by the Walgreens a couple blocks away from my house, and he sits there and he reads all day, every day. And sometimes I'll go sit with him for a little bit or chat with him for a few minutes here and there. And last night I went on a walk, and I walked past him. I saw him sitting there, and he was reading this Tom Clancy book, and I sat down next to him. We started talking, and he said some really interesting things. He just talked about how he used to be in jail, and he's had like a lot of bad things happen in his life, but he puts all his faith in God, that God will provide for him. And he says all the other guys who are out peddling, they're out with their cups, trying to like get cash, trying to talk to people for cash and get stuff from people. And he said that they'll ask him like, how come you just sit here and read? How come you aren't talking to people? And he just says, I know it's out of my hands. I know it's in God's hands. And he said, God always provides. He always ends up having a place to sleep. He always ends up having food. And he just said he's had an immense amount of peace, way more peace than when he was in jail in earlier parts of his life. And he turned 53, I think, on Saturday. And we sat and talked for 10 or 15 minutes. He told me he had a place to stay at, but he needed a couple dollars to pay to get in, so I gave him the dollars. And yeah, he just he's in the boat I'm in, where he doesn't think the masks are going to go away. He thinks people are just going to keep wearing them and keep wearing them. And you know, I think one argument people make is it's polite, and I don't think it's polite to wear it, because I think what I see when I see someone wear the mask is you're signaling you could be sick, I could be sick, you could be a virus, I could be a virus, and we should remember to stay distant and not trust each other, because we could all be sick. And I just think, like, imagine if you went outside tomorrow and nobody was wearing masks. Somebody who was really afraid might be extra spooked for a second, but they just walked around the block a little bit and saw everybody not wearing masks and everybody not being afraid. It might really change everything. And I think a lot of this is kind of in the mind. You know, a couple paragraphs later, this is really interesting. During the flu epidemic, which broke out during the World War, the mayor of New York City took drastic steps to check the damage which people were doing themselves through their inherent fear of ill health. He called in the newspapermen and said to them, "Gentlemen, I feel it necessary to ask you not to publish any scare headlines concerning the flu epidemic. Unless you cooperate with me, we will have a situation which we cannot control." The newspapers quit publishing stories about the flu, and within 1 month, the epidemic had been successfully checked. So, yeah, and then a couple paragraphs later, I'll read this too, because this is super interesting. There's overwhelming evidence that disease sometimes begins in the form of negative thought impulse. Such an impulse may be passed from one mind to another by suggestion, or created by an individual in his own mind. A man who was blessed with more wisdom than the incident might indicate once said, oh, I don't care about that part. So, yeah, but I just think I believe in mind over matter. I almost never get sick, and I always just believe I'm healthy, and I am a very positive person. Everybody knows me. Who knows me knows how smiley and optimistic and cheerful I am, and I think that manifests itself in good health a lot of the time. Yeah, I'm going to play another song I wrote about this type of thing. I think this needs some edits, but this is the form it's currently in. This is called How Can Two Hearts Fall in Love? She walks past my door. I can tell there's something on her mind. What is she trying to endure? What is it that she's trying to find? I know I don't have all the answers. The elephant is much too big to see. Have a little faith that things will be okay. Trust the one who wants you to be free. How can two hearts fall in love, 6 feet apart and wrapped in gloves? How can two souls take a chance when we are told we can't slow dance? How can we live in this world without a hug from our favorite girl? How can two hearts fall in love? They say we can't touch. Anyone around us could be sick. stay home, don't do much. I don't think I can take much more of it. Seems like things aren't adding up. The boot will stomp us in the name of love. I don't take orders from them, they're the fakest of fake friends. I don't think this way of life can last. How can two hearts fall in love, 6 feet apart and wrapped in gloves? How can two souls take a chance when we are told we can't slow dance? How can we live in this world without a hug from your favorite girl? How can two hearts fall in love? How can two hearts fall in love? Yeah, so, you know, I think there's 2 lines I really like in that song, 2 parts. One of them is, I know I don't have all the answers. The elephant is much too big to see. And so what I'm referring to there, it's like the parable of the 5 blind men and the elephant. So there's 5 blind men and they're all touching an elephant. And one of them goes, an elephant is a big, giant wall. And then the other one goes, an elephant is a small hose. And the other one goes, no, an elephant is a piece of cloth. A big piece of cloth. The other one goes, no, an elephant is a tree trunk. And the other one goes, no, the elephant is a bushy wire. And so, you know, the last guy was touching the elephant's tail. The tree trunk guy is touching the elephant's legs. The one guy's touching the side of the elephant. The other guy's touching the elephant's ears. The other guy's touching the elephant's trunk. And they're all saying they know what the elephant is, and they fight each other, and they end up killing each other. And they were all trying to touch they were all describing what they felt when they were touching the elephant, and none of them were wrong, but their dogma about it had them kill each other. And so my friend who was talking to me last night, I'm so glad we talked. I'm seriously grateful for her and grateful for that, because she's touching a different part of the elephant than me, and we didn't kill each other. I think actually we got closer last night after talking, and she thought I was wrong. I think she's wrong, but we're both right and wrong, I think, and we both are touching different parts of the elephant. And yeah, I think I have a natural charisma for attention and a gift for speaking and some courage to speak my mind, which is why I'm trying to do this, to share the part of the elephant I'm touching. I guess if I do have an agenda, my agenda would be to wish that people wouldn't wear their mask, but that's not a money-making agenda, I guess. You know, I'm definitely not selling anything. I'm just trying to be genuine on the internet, which is scary because it's permanent. But yeah, so I really like that line, the elephant is much too big to see, and I think that's something we really need to remember. And when we're looking at Facebook and Instagram and stuff, we don't see that. But when we're talking with a friend in real life after a music concert, we do. Yeah, it's the other line in the song I really like. It's in the second bridge. It seems like things aren't adding up. The boot will stomp us in the name of love. So that is pretty much a reference to 1984, the George Orwell book. And one thing that book did that was super brilliant to me was the government offices were the Ministry of Love, the Ministry of Truth, Ministry of Love, the Ministry of Truth, the Ministry of Peace, and I can't remember what the last one was, but it was brilliant because the Ministry of Love was where they tortured people, the Ministry of Truth was where they wrote propaganda, and the Ministry of Peace was where they made bombs. There was another one too, but basically all the names were the opposite of what they do. And if we look at our government, you know, the Department of Defense, what is that except a place where they make bombs and have soldiers, uh, the military branch, the Department of Defense. It sounds nice. It's a peace process is where they go into the Middle East and basically drop bombs on people, but you call it a peace process. Um, so I think the boot will stomp us in the name of love. I think that there's a lot of people who want to put on the mask out of a sense of compassion. So I'm not angry at anyone who puts on a mask, and I understand if you do it, you are doing it from a place of love. Most people, some people are probably doing it from a nasty place, but most people are doing it from a place of love. But I think the boot stomps us in the name of love. At least in this instance, that's how I'm seeing it. And I just think there's a lot of people who kind of on this point that, when I do these shows, I feel like every other day-ish, somebody will ask me, what are you guys going to do when COVID ends? And I just think that that's a question that, if you ask me that question, I feel like you haven't thought the implications of all this all the way through. Because I think I said this on Friday, but it's not going to end unless it ends when you decide it ends. All these companies, Uber, I get this ad for Uber all the time about the new normal and how important the masks are. All these multi-million-dollar companies are pushing these commercials for why you should wear a mask, and every business establishment has mask policies and all this stuff. And the media has no incentive to say, oh, COVID-19 is in control, we're good, everyone can take their masks off now. Because the more people are afraid, the more they're going to turn to media. The more people stay inside, the more they're going to be watching their screens. And if people go, oh, I'm not afraid of this anymore, and they go outside, that's less time watching the news or time watching Netflix, time invested into the screen. And time is obviously a form of currency, and for them, if they can keep your eyes on the screen, they track all that, and that's how they get their ad revenue. That's how they get paid. So for me, when COVID-19 ends is when you decide it ends. And it's this think and grow rich thing. It's like, I know I will not get sick. I guess God permitting, but I believe that's what God has invoked in me, and God has shown me that I am not going to get sick and die at 28. And even if I do, it's my time, and I'm not in control. I'm not going to stop my life over something like this. And I think if I have such a conviction about this because me and Jack are the only musicians in Chicago that said, no, we're playing music. We don't care what the TV says. We're going to play music. I guess obviously not the only musicians. There's other people who have done it, but we are the ones who I think have taken it the furthest by playing every day, and we've hired all these other musicians. This guy we had play Sunday, he's awesome. He's coming back to play again. He was just kind of marveling at the initiative we took, and he was like, man, like, he's like, I've kind of just been sitting on my couch waiting for things to happen, but you guys went out and you made a gig, and maybe that's what we all need to be doing. And I think the people that want the money and the power don't want us to be out creating our own initiative. They don't want us inspiring people. They want people to be locked into the screens. Yeah, so that's what I got for today. Seems like there's been one person here pretty much the whole time. Thank you. I hope you're enjoying this. I hope the sound quality is good. I feel good that I did this. It's funny. Like, I spent half the day freaking out. Usually at night before I go to bed, I'm reading my book, and I'm like thinking of all this stuff I want to say that I feel really inspired and convicted about. But then I let this fear trickle in that this thing is going to ruin my career in some way. And I feel like that's just a ghost. I guess that's what he said. The fourth fear. I closed the book. I think the fourth fear is the fear of criticism. And I've not done this for a long time because of a fear of criticism, because I felt like people were going to think I was crazy and not want to call me for stuff anymore. Yeah, the second fear he lists is the fear of criticism. And it is kind of insane to do like an online diary. These are private thoughts in a way that I'm sharing. But in a world where it seems like it's hard to be honest because everything's on the internet, I think in spite of this. I'm going to be honest, and who knows, maybe in 6 months I'll look back and be like, oh, why did I say that? That's pretty rough. But I think the value in this, if you watch this and this has value, will come in watching me figure stuff out in real time and doing these a couple times a week. And just seeing the sincerity of somebody working through something and not being afraid to express my thoughts. So yeah, that's what I got. I guess I'm going to play one more song, and then I'm going to wrap up because I got my show starting in 54 minutes. So thanks for being here. You, one person, or anybody who watches this later, if you like this, find it insightful, inspiring, or anything, do the whole comment, subscribe, whatever thing, or send it to someone, or come talk to me about it, like my friend at the show did the other night. What do I want to play? All right. Thanks a ton for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this. I will see you online on Wednesday and perhaps in real life between now and then. Have a great day.